Okay, so I asked Lene, well, I just said, hey, you should give me your phone number. And her response was, for what? And yeah, that was not the answer I was expecting. But before we go there, we got to back up a little ways. And actually, I want to back up to the very beginning, the first time I met Lene. And we'll go through that time period up until we actually did go on a date. But before that, I want to tell you something, a thought, a feeling that I had earlier today that I'm sure a lot of you will identify with, and that is the fact that I just realized, it just kind of hit me this morning, that I will never hear her voice again. And that's really just, if I could never see her again, but I could only speak to her on the phone, say, that would probably just be amazing. Like, I would give anything for that, just to have another conversation with her. And so that is part of what is motivating me to do what I'm doing now. Fortunately, I do have a fair amount of conversations, recorded conversations with Lene, just recorded video of Lene and the family, me and Lene, a lot of these videos I've made with Lene. And I really do feel fortunate that I have that. And so I would encourage you to use this modern technology that we have to your advantage. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm putting my voice out here for you. I'm sharing my experience, my feelings, and how I'm navigating through all of this. But I'm also leaving this behind for my family, my friends, for when I'm no longer here. So I feel like my life and anybody and everybody's life is important enough to be recorded, to have a memory, something left behind. And we're really fortunate to have this technology to be able to use for this purpose. I have diaries and notebooks going back, 30, 40 years, and those are great, but this medium here is so much easier to consume, and I think conveys a lot more of my actual personality. You can see me, you can hear me, you can see my facial expressions. So I want to encourage all of you to do this. All right, so back to the story. So Lene shunning me or telling me that, she didn't really feel like she should give me her phone number goes pretty far back. The first time I met Lene was early one Sunday morning. There's somebody knocking on my door. I wake up, probably hungover, extremely early hour of like 10 a.m. or something. And I go and I open the door. And it's Lene. She said she was pretty shocked when she opened the door. She had no idea who lived at this house. And I was much younger and, I worked out and I was in pretty good shape, and I was in a probably still wet pair of swim trunks. And I opened the door and she's like, I was at a party last night here and I left my shoes somewhere. Can we go look for them? And so I'm like, oh yeah, sure. You left your shoes, lady. But anyway, we go and look around. So I live in this crazy house. This is like my last bachelor pad. It's up on a hill overlooking a strip of bars and restaurants. Anybody who lives in Austin, it's on Barton Springs Road. It was the last house before you got to the Zilker Park, where they had the big Austin City Limits Music Festival. I had one neighbor. He was a DJ. He lived next door. And it was not uncommon for us to have parties that would go, from like midnight until 10 or 11 o'clock the next morning. There was a swimming pool in the front yard as well, and a kegerator out by the swimming pool. Place was crazy, but I was I was a bachelor, so it was great. But anyway, we look around. We don't find the shoes. They're not out by the pool. They're not anywhere in the house. And and I'm thinking like, oh, this lady's pretty cute. I got nothing else going on. So I invite her to go grab some breakfast with me. And she informed me in no uncertain terms that she had no intention of doing anything with me other than possibly finding her shoes. She didn't know that I was the guy that lived at the house. She just went to this party, had a few too many drinks, somehow or another left without her shoes. And she told me that she had to get back home to take care of her daughter. Did not have any time to mess around with me. So whatever. About 6 months later, I'm in Colorado, and I have a couple of mutual friends that are going to meet in Vail. And, we got this friend from Austin who's going to be there. And then when I get there, one of the mutual friends is Lene. I was like, once again, I was like, wow, there's the lady that lost the shoes. So we all hung out that night, and Lene actually came over and spent the night at the house that I was living in. Of course, she slept on the couch and didn't have nothing to do with me once again. And, she was just sort of like, there's this guy again. He's, probably bad news. I don't know what she was thinking, but I know she was not thinking about me. Anyway, we don't see each other for a while, a few months later, and I'm at a bar in Austin, and there she is. She's back in Austin. She has moved to Austin. So she was living in Austin when I met her initially. She moved to Colorado. I ran into her there, and now she's back in Austin. And, I see her at this bar. I don't know if it was on that time or if it was the next time, but it was, I kind of started running into her on a semi-regular basis. And, finally I get up the nerve to ask her for her phone number. And, I say, hey, we keep running into each other. You should give me your number. And she says, give you my number for what? And I'm like, whoa. But I'm pretty quick. And I said, so I can call you. And she just, without batting an eyelash, goes, call me for what? And I was just like, whoa, this lady's tough. And I was like, I don't know, maybe so we could plan on meeting up somewhere sometime, and she starts laughing. And I guess she appreciated my perseverance. And so she gives me her number. And, we chat on the phone, and, I'm like, I like to say I'm pretty funny, and, made her laugh a lot. And she would never agree to go on a date with me. It was always like, yeah, I'm going to go meet some friends over here. If you show up, spam caller. All right. So she would never agree to go on a date with me. She was always like, I'm going to go over here and meet some friends. If you show up, I may be there. And that's what happened for a few times. We would meet up somewhere, and then, it's like I kind of noticed she would show up somewhere, and I'm like, oh, where's your friends? And it was like, oh, I guess I'm your friend now. But still nothing official until I remember it was Thanksgiving. I was at my mom's house, and I don't know if she called me, I called her. We chat for a while. We're laughing, cracking some jokes. And right before we get off, she says, hey, well, when you get back to town, we should probably meet up somewhere for some margaritas. And I was kind of like, oh, wait a minute, is this a date? I didn't say that, but I was kind of thinking that to myself. I was keeping my cool, and I was like, yeah, sure. I'll call you when I get back, and we can figure out a time and a place and all that. So we hang up, and I was standing in the kitchen talking to my mom, and I said, hey, Mom, I think I got a date. And my mom looks at me and she goes, so what? Because I'm like 40 something years old now, and I've had a lot of dates, and up until that point, none of them had panned out. So, like I said, I had a feeling, and I told my mom, I was like, I don't know, Mom, I got a feeling about this woman. This is like, it's just different, And so I get back to Austin, and we decide to go meet. We met at Polvo's Mexican restaurant in South Austin. Highly recommend it. And we show up, and we are wearing like identical matching outfits, like teal colored shirts, polo shirts with 3/4 sleeves, gray jeans. And I mean, it was just like, it was almost like we had planned it. And Lene saved those outfits. They're somewhere in the closet here right now. And yeah, we had a great time. We laughed a bunch. We drank a couple of margaritas, and I didn't say anything that night, but we saw each other the next night, and I remember saying like, "Oh, so we're finally dating now. You had to ask me out on a date first," which she was always like, I didn't ask you on a date. You chased me down, and I finally gave up." But like I said, I just knew there was just something that kept me coming back, kept me like trying to win her over. And she agreed later that I was right. Like, she was a little skeptical about me, because of just, everything that was going on around me and the kind of lifestyle I was living. And yeah, so we were basically together pretty much every day after that. I travel, she traveled. We were apart from time to time, but we ended up just like moving in together and having our first kid, within a year. And yeah, it was great. There was definitely some rocky times, sometimes when I thought that we definitely were not going to make it. Stay tuned. I'll tell you those stories too. But all in all, the relationship just got better and better and better as the years went on. And I'm so happy that I had that time with her. So anyway, having a good day today. I hope you're having an awesome day today. I want to thank you for, listening to me, and hopefully these stories help somebody out there. Hopefully my kids will be able to listen to this in the future when I'm not around. And yeah, I'm just having a great day. I hope you're having a great day. And hopefully I will see you in the next video, because I got a ton of stories to tell about Lene and I's time together. All right. Thanks. Love you.